and strategies that you need to successfully pass this exam. So if you have any questions during my presentation, while I'm talking and while we're doing exercises, feel free to write your questions in the chat. I'll try to answer them as soon as there is a moment to do so. So let's start. First, I'll give you some basic information about the reading test, and then we'll have a look at the strategies. So the length of the reading test, as you might know, is 60 minutes. And there are two versions of the IELTS test. That's academic and general. So in academic IELTS, you have three texts, and these texts are on different topics. So in general, there are also three parts, and each part consists of two or more texts, also on various topics. Usually, texts for academic reading are more complicated, but to get the same score, you are allowed to make more mistakes. For instance, if you want to score 9 in general reading, you can't make a single mistake, so all 40 questions should be correct. And to score 9 in academic, if you make one mistake out of 40, you still normally get a 9. So there are 40 questions in the test, and so all the reading texts, they usually consist of approximately 2,750 words, give or take several dozen words. Right. So what kind of texts are included in the reading in the IELTS reading test? These are extracts from articles on professional or scientific topics. They can be newspaper articles and newspaper publications, and texts from various course books of more or less general topics. These are the kinds of texts you come across in the IELTS test. So the skills that are checked, the types of reading sub-skills that are checked in the text are scanning and skimming. So scan, this is when you scan the text quickly. When you can also read for gist and you can understand the main idea, the text. Then you can select concrete pieces of information, and sometimes, but this is not very common, but sometimes you need to understand the author's opinion. However, in most cases, your answers should be based on the words of the text and not on the conclusions that you can make based on this text. We will see this as we do a couple of reading activities. So, there are more than 10 types of questions, and they are the same both for academic and general reading module. So like multiple choice, then can be true, false, not given, yes, no, not given, matching information, matching heading, matching features, matching sentence ending, sentence completion, summary completion, note completion, table completion, then flowchart completion, diagram label completion, and short answer questions. This may sound like much. Well, basically in our online course, we do all these types of questions and strategies for them. So, but you need to understand the basic principle. And this principle is that most of the questions are based on paraphrasing, and they're based on synonyms. We'll discuss this a bit later during our webinar. So, how do you prepare? How can you prepare for the reading module? For many people who take the IELTS, the reading module, especially if you're talking about academic IELTS, is the hardest part. Well, it's usually second after writing, because writing is usually still harder for some candidates. This happens because a lot of people aren't used to reading academic texts, especially if they're school children. They have never read scientific texts, even in their native language. So, even some university students have a hard time doing so. So if you're planning to take especially academic IELTS, you need to get used to reading such texts and prepare yourself and your mind and your eyesight to comprehend such type of information. So that's the first basic tip. Well, basically, the secret of preparation is quite simple. You need to understand the structure of the reading test. You should increase your vocabulary and then practice. If you want to succeed, you need at least intermediate level. So for those students who want to enroll in our online course, your level should be at least intermediate. And you will also need a few hours a day, so ideally on a daily basis, and a firm intention to spend your time preparing for the exam. The good news is that you can prepare for reading on your own, unlike speaking and writing, where you need some feedback from an expert, from a tutor, from a person who speaks English well, or from ideally an IELTS examiner if you have such friends and acquaintances. Then reading can be done on your own. You can prepare yourself. So the reading texts are taken from newspapers, from magazines and books, and they contain a lot of tricky words. But if you increase your vocabulary, this will help you. This will help you cope with the reading test. So there are a few minor recommendations or practical tips, as they're called. You should never leave empty spaces in your answers. Yes, Anna, I can see you're here, so you'll do that. Anna is my student who likes leaving empty spaces. Also, make sure that you put the answers in the correct place, because if you miss the numbers in the answer sheet, these answers will not be considered correct. Then sometimes the task says true, false, not given, and sometimes it's yes, no, not given. So pay attention to what you write, true or yes. So if it's yes, no, then you should write yes, no. If it's true, false, then it's true, false. You shouldn't confuse yes and true. They're different answers. Okay. Well, sometimes my students ask me whether you can write T instead of true and F instead of false. Yes, you can, but it should be clear whether you write T or F. Right. Also, look at NB, nota bene sign. When there is a task, which paragraph contains the following information? We'll try to do a sample of such a reading task. If you can see NB and a warning, you can use some letters more than once. Then in official materials, in real IELTS tests, for one paragraph, there will be more than one fact. This will always happen. If there is no NB nota bene sign, then it means that for one paragraph, there will be one fact only. Right. So also you have 1 hour, but this 1 hour includes your time for transferring your answers to the answer sheet. So the actual reading is about 50 minutes or 55 maximum, because you need some time. You can transfer your answers right after each section, or you can do so at the end. It's up to you. But if you continue transferring your answers after the time is up, then the organizers of the exam, they can come up to you and just cross out all the answers, so they will not be valid. And you will not get any points in your IELTS exam. Right. So here's a good resource for memorizing words. Okay, so Georgi. NB is banner once again. I will repeat. If it says which paragraph contains the following information, and it says that you can use some letters more than once, there will be some paragraphs, text A, text B, text C, and so on. And then sentences 1, 2, 3, 4, and you have to match them. One paragraph can match to more than one sentence. We will have an example at the end of our webinar, so I will show you. I will show you this sign, and I will show you what the task looks like. Okay, so here is a resource that can be used for memorizing words. Another one that is not mentioned in the presentation, but I think a lot of you know it. It's lingualeo.com. It's also very, very useful. If you don't use it and you're preparing for IELTS, I think you should. I've written the address in the chat. So this website is done for memorizing words, and you can find collections of words there. So you can just try this resource. It will help you greatly. If you just learn 10 words a day, then after several months you will know several hundred words more, and your vocabulary will increase. This will help you. Right. Well, first, that's just like general information. You should also learn to read quickly. So in your native language, hopefully you can scan through the text quickly and understand the gist, the main information. And this is what you should strive for in English. In order to be able to do so in English as well, you need to remember about two techniques. They're skimming and scanning. And well, if, for example, if the question is in which year did the scientist discover something, then you scan through the text for surnames and dates quickly and find this place in the information, this piece of information in the text. And so after this, you find out the answer. So this will help you also. Now, as for the speed of reading, it should be quite fast. You have 3 texts and maximum 20 minutes per text. But remember, you also need some time for transferring the answers to the answer sheet. So while you're practicing, while you're just beginning to practice, you can start preparing with a stopwatch. But you can also do careful reading and write out words that you don't know. You underline them and write them, so you'll be able to use them in the future. Right. To increase your speed reading, here's also a nice resource. It's breakingnewsenglish.com, then speed reading. It's a website with news that you can have a look at, and you can increase the speed at which the news appears on your screen. And so the faster the better. You can increase the speed little by little. So I encourage you to start trying it on a regular basis. So first start reading these pieces of news slowly, and then you can increase the speed. So that's speed reading, breaknewsenglish.com. If you use this website, it will be really beneficial for your preparation and for reading speed. Okay, so now skimming, scanning, and detailed reading. So skimming is the type of reading technique that you do not to understand every detail of the text, but to understand every word in the but to understand just the main idea, and you don't need to read every word of it. Actually, sometimes it's enough to understand the heading or the first or the last sentence of the paragraph. Can I ask you a question? In your opinion, what should you start with when you do your reading task? Should you start with the questions or with the text? So can you please write your answer in the chat? What should you start with? Questions or the text? Just one of these words. What's your opinion? Let's see. Okay, Tatiana thinks it's a question. Natalia also thinks it's a question. Does anybody think that you should start with the text? Okay, well, Ekaterina thinks it's the text, and Vitaly also thinks that's questions. In my opinion, well, actually, it depends on the person, but from my experience and from my students' experience, you should start with the question, because you will know what kind of information you need. And we will have a look at the text, at some examples of reading texts today, later in the webinar, and you'll be able to see that you don't actually need to read the whole text. What you need is to find a synonym for the keyword in the question, and then see if it's true or false, or if it contains this information that we're looking for, and you don't need the rest of the information. If you read the whole text, then most likely you will not have enough time to complete everything in time, especially if you do academic reading. Okay, actually it's up to you. You can try both techniques and see which one works best for you, but I will try to show you today that looking at the questions first works better, and the techniques that I'm going to show might help you increase your final score by about 1 point. So, right, scanning, it's just looking for specific information. For example, if you know that there is a name or a date or it's some specific term, and you know this term cannot be paraphrased. So you can find this piece of information next quickly, and then find out if your sentence that you're looking at is true or false, or this piece of information is in this paragraph or that paragraph, and so on. There's also detailed reading, which means that you read the text in full, and you might need this technique for answering true, false, not given questions, so yes, no, not given. But I would recommend a totally different technique for that, and I will tell you about it at the end of the webinar. So, right, if you happen to take, well, if you're planning to take academic module, and well, most people, about 85% of people, according to statistics, take the academic module. So about 2 or 3 times a week, it's advisable to read articles from scientific magazines like New Scientist or Science Daily. You can read about updates from the world of science, and so you can teach yourself to comprehend scientific texts. One more interesting resource is Google Scholar. This service can help you find the articles and publications in English on a particular topic. So, for example, if you're knowledgeable about technology, then you can read a few articles on technology. If you're not knowledgeable about environment, you can read about environment. If it's, well, and so on. Medicine, you can read about medicine. Right. During the exam, just a few recommendations about this, and then we'll move on to, well, to real practice. So, as I have already mentioned, you have only 1 hour. And don't forget that you also need to transfer your answers to the answer sheet, and this time is included in this 1 hour. And so if you feel that you can't answer the question, then just move on. You can come back to this question later. You can lose precious time by trying to answer one question. So about 1 minute per question is ideal. So it means you can do 40 questions in 40 minutes. You'll still have 20 minutes to check. You can put question marks next to the questions you're not sure about, and then come back to them later. Well, personally, when I do IELTS text, sometimes, well, I understand that I will finish. I'm confident that I will do this task. If I need a bit more than 1 minute, I do this. But if your level is not like C2 or advanced or proficiency, then it's better just to move on and come back to this at the end. So spend about 1 minute per question. All right. So if there are any questions about the theoretical part, about the reading test in general, you can ask these questions in the chat. If not, then we'll move on to practice. As I have mentioned, reading, well, IELTS test in general, it's basically a test of your vocabulary, and it's a test of paraphrasing. What I mean is that, for instance, if you have ever written an IELTS essay, you always need to paraphrase the key words in the task. First, you paraphrase them in the introduction. Then, you try not to repeat them in the main supporting body paragraphs. And then, you need to paraphrase them in conclusion. In speaking, one of the aspects of evaluation is your vocabulary range. So it means that you need to paraphrase the keyword in the question. So if the examiner asks you, do you like music? And you say, yes, I like music, you will not get a high score for such answers. So instead of like, you can say like, I'm fond of listening to different musicians, for instance, Michael Jackson or whatever. So try to paraphrase. As for reading and listening, you always have different synonyms for keywords in the question. And first, we're going to do a small exercise. You will have a keyword. It's number 1: build sales, have marketing experience. Ideally, well, the first one can take you a bit longer. Let's make it a bit small, just a bit. Just 1 second. No, it should be still smaller. Okay, so that's like this. You have a word, build sales, have marketing experience. Please try to find a synonym. It's one of these, A, B, C, D. And this can be expressed in a very unusual way. For instance, a synonym for all can sometimes be must. So don't be surprised. For build sales, try to find the best. For example, you need a text where it says that some people need to be able to build sales or to have marketing experience. Oh, this is the question. And what kind of, if you see a phrase in the text, which phrase will be the closest? Which will express more or less the same? Which would be the best synonym in a broader sense? You can write, please write number 1 and letter A, 1A, 1B, 1C, like this. Please write the answer in the chat. So it's be popular with local people, develop musical skills, perform at a concert, increase audience numbers, details of concerts, distribute information to reach a certain level as a performer, something you may not be familiar with, all be in financial need or support. So Ekaterina thinks it's 1D, or 1G, Natalia. To reach a certain level as a performer, this is when you are a musician. For example, it's to learn to sing better, and you can say to reach a certain level as a performer, you can say that it's a synonym. Distribute information, build sales, well, not quite. So actually the correct answer is D, it's increase audience numbers. If you sell tickets, for instance, for a concert, then you have marketing experience, you build sales, and you increase audience numbers. So sometimes it can be quite unexpected. Try to spend about 3 to 5 seconds and find a synonym for every. Just write a letter, number 2, sorry, the number 2, and the letter A, B, C, and so on. So like 2A. Okay, 2I, yes, every, that's all. All right, let's the next one. Take part in a performance. Okay, 3C, yes. Perform in a concert. Right, take part is to perform. That will be synonyms. Great. Okay, then send a monthly newsletter. Number 4 and a letter. Okay, number 4F, that's right. Distribute information, to send a newsletter. Great. The next one is information about musical events. I'll scroll it down just for you to see all the. So it's information about musical events. Okay. Yes, E, details of concerts. Brilliant. Okay, so if you can do this quickly, it means that your chances are quite high to score more than 6 or 7. So reach at least an intermediate level of the instrument. Okay. Develop musical, so the opinions differ. It's develop musical skills or reach a certain level as a performer. Okay, so how do we choose which one? Which one is B or G? Actually, I will tell you about one method. Sometimes you have 2 texts and you have expressions that are very similar and you don't know which one to choose. So here's how it works. You underline keywords in the question, and here these keywords will be reach, level, well level, but we mean that intermediate level, so it's like intermediate, like this, and level, and maybe instrument, but it might be absent. And for example, if your text says if in the text you can find a paraphrase and a synonym, you give this variant 1 point. If you find exactly the same word, be careful, because usually it's a trap, but give this word half a point. And to be able to find the correct answer, you normally need to score at least 2 points. So 1 point for a synonym and half a point for the keyword that is repeated. So here in number G we have to reach, that's half a point. Level, that's also half a point. And then intermediate and certain, we can find that this is a paraphrase, so that will be 2 2 points. And most likely, this is going to be a correct answer. Then the second variant was B, develop musical skill. Reach and develop, they're not synonyms, they are different. Musical. Okay, musical skills and level of the instrument, you can say that this is a paraphrase, but that's only 1 point. It's 1 point versus 2 points, so we need to choose the answer G here. Because they're very similar. Reach at least an intermediate level of the instrument, reach a certain level as a performer, and performer plays the instrument. If you're talking about orchestras, for example. Okay, let's move on. Not so well known. Please find a paraphrase for this keyword. We were only looking at a phrase, because in the question there'll be more than this phrase. Okay, number 7H, number 7A. So A, it's be popular with local people, and something you may not be familiar with. Well, most people write that it's H, right? So not well known, not familiar, right? So that's one word that is the same, not, and a paraphrase. So the answer is H here, right? Okay, we also need a synonym for help. And yes, that was number 8. So number 8. Number 8, yes, help, support, absolutely. Okay. Then number 9, the word is improve playing. So to improve playing. B. And you can see that improve and develop, they are, well, they are synonyms. And playing and musical skills, they're also synonyms. So we have 2 points for this answer. Even for the phrase, because in the sentence there will be more. There will be more keywords. It's just one keyword. Okay. Now 10. Perform to appreciative audiences from the area. So opinions differ. A and D. A and D. Okay. Somebody else? 2 people think it's A. C. Wow. Perform in a concert. Be really careful. If you have perform and perform, that's half a point. Concert and appreciative audiences from the area, it's not the same. No, it's not the correct answer. A. Be popular with local people. And D. Increase audience numbers. Perform and increase, that's different. Audience. You have the same word, but it's just half a point. Numbers and from the area, they're absolutely different. So it's just half a point, that's all. And be popular. That's if people appreciate you, your playing, your performance, then you're popular with them. So it's a paraphrase. And then local, that's from the area, that's a paraphrase, that's 2 points. And people, that's audiences, that's 3 points. So of course it's number A, because there are 3 synonyms. And in all other variants, you get less than 2 points. And here you even have 3 points just in this expression. Okay, I hope you understand my logic and the method how to find. Okay, one more. Illness prevents them from earning a living. Okay, J is a variant here. Okay, Natalia, also J. Any other variants? J, right. So if people can't earn a living, they are in financial need. So that's a paraphrase. Let's look again at the list. So that's build sales and marketing experience, increase audience numbers. The more synonyms you look at, the more you understand the logic of the reading exam in IELTS. Every, that's all. Take a performance, perform in a concert. Send a monthly newsletter, distribute information. Information about musical events, details of concerts. Reach at least an intermediate level of the instrument. To reach a certain level as a performer. Not so well known, something you may not be familiar with. Improve playing, develop musical skills. Perform to appreciative audiences from the area. Be popular with local people. Illness prevents them from earning a living. Be in financial need. Help, support. Okay, so let's look at a real test. And the test is right here. So the types of tasks are the same for general and academic. Today, we're going to look at an academic text simply because it's shorter and it's to read. Okay, that's the text, but as you might remember, we're going to look at the task. And so here's the task. Look at the advertisements for music clubs in a town called Whitehey. So there are 4 texts, A, B, C, and D. There's Whitehey Youth Music, Whitehey Music Club, and then there is Whitehey Philharmonic, Whitehey Music Society. There are 8 sentences. Well, then obviously you need to, for one sentence, there can be one text. And for each of the texts, there will be more than one sentence. Okay, so what we do, just to find out, even before reading the text, we need to find out keywords in the question, and then find these keywords in the text. And basically, that's it. A lot of IELTS tutors and trainers and IELTS coaches, they say that you need to underline keywords. But most people don't explain what are keywords. So the answer is this. Keywords are the words in the task, except for prepositions, articles, and conjunctions like and, of, are, is, am, to, and so on. They're not keywords. But also topical words, the words that belong to the topic. They're not keywords. Well, they are keywords, but they are not the type of keywords that we need to be able to answer correctly. So for example, here you can see members, members, members. This will not help you to differentiate between the text because it will always talk about clubs and about members. So what you need is, for number 1, what you need is to find a synonym for need and find ways of increasing. Why doesn't it underline? Find ways of increasing audience numbers. So I will copy this question in the chat. I will try to copy this for you. I hope it's going to work. Yes, it needs members who can find ways of increasing audience numbers. Let's find the correct text here. So there's text A, B, C. I'll make it slightly smaller. Please find the text. So which text? Oops, sorry, just 1 second. Please find the text and tell me which are the synonyms for the keywords. So the task, the sentence, is in the so it's in the chat. It needs members who can find ways of increasing audience numbers. Can you please find a synonym for this in these 4 texts and tell me which text that is and which are the words? I will scroll a little bit up and a little bit down so you can have a look. So this club, it's A, B, C, or D, needs members who can find ways of increasing audience numbers. What we need is to find this information in the text. So it will be need Okay, and it will be increase audience numbers. Okay, Natalia thinks that it's B and it's lovers from around the district. Okay, but lovers, it's not a synonym for any of the keywords. Around the district, it's, well, it isn't a synonym either. So how can they increase audience numbers? And those who are lovers of music, they are listeners. They are not participants of the music club. Okay, any other variants? So I can tell you that the answer is not B, so that's not correct. You can exclude it from your search. Number C, a wide range of music. But a wide range of music doesn't increase audience numbers. The answer is C. You're right. But what increases audience numbers? It is build sales. So if you build sales of your tickets, then you increase audience numbers. So the audience is bigger, and so the club needs. So these members are welcome. That's another synonym. And if they have also build sales and marketing experience, that's also a synonym for increase audience numbers. Marketing experience and build sales, it's increase audience numbers, and needs, it's welcome. They are welcome. Okay, let's have a look at the next one. So all its members perform in club concerts. I will copy this question in the chat. So we need two synonyms, all and perform. So these are keywords, all and perform. And we need to find this in the text. I can tell you that it's not text D, so please try to find it in the first three texts. So we don't need text D. I will not open the whole text. So all its members perform in club concerts. What we need is to find a paraphrase for all and perform, and write the letter of the text. Okay, number A, every member takes the part. Okay, yes, every member takes part. Are keen to perform. Okay, anyone who is keen to perform. Okay, but every member takes part, and all members perform. It's closer. or rather than anyone is keen to perform. Anyone is keen, it means that everyone should want to do this. And here it says that actually happens. So they do perform and they do take part. This is the closest. And the answer, yes, that's correct. The answer is A. Let's look at the next question. So it says, it distributes information about musical events to its members. So you need distribute information, and possibly musical event can be something like a performance or a concert. It can be paraphrased like this. Please try to find it in the text. So here the answer was every member takes part. This is for number 2. So, and now for number 3, we need it distributes information about musical events to its members. Number B, organize a coach trip. You don't send information about musical events. You just organize a coach trip. It's different. And it's not the correct answer. Okay, receive a monthly newsletter. Absolutely, Natalia, that's right. So distribute information. If you are a member of this club, you receive a monthly newsletter. And then musical events, you can see that they are concerts, yes, containing details of concerts. Okay. Right. Let's have a look at the next one. Number 4, it requires its members to have reached a certain level as performers. So let me copy this for you. Okay, it requires its members to have reached a certain level as performers. So we need a paraphrase for reach, or maybe it's the same, a certain level, and maybe performer. Maybe it will be like a singer, maybe like piano. Okay, so Tatiana, number A must have reached at least an intermediate standard, right? And Natalia, yes, you're also right. So must have reached. So it requires its members to have reached a certain level as performers. It's the same as must have reached at least intermediate standard of their instrument. Brilliant. So the answer will also be A. Okay, so the next one of its aims is to introduce its members to music they may not be familiar with. Let me copy this one. Okay, so one of its aims is to introduce its members to music they may not be familiar with. I can tell you that it's not text D, so I will not open it for you. I will help you a little bit. So it's text A, text B, or text C. Okay, Natalia, B, both well-known and not well-known. Are there any other variants? B, providing background information. The background information is aims to produce members music they may not be familiar with. So music that they may not be familiar with. So these are recordings, well, music actually, music, not so well known. Okay, so we have music at the event, it's provide. Then music, it's music, and not familiar, that's not well known. And why do background information is just information about the composers and the music? Well, to some extent, yes, background, it doesn't contradict, of course. The answer, in some ways, also, yes, it's the correct answer. This can be considered a correct answer. Okay, so then it helps children to develop their musical skills. So the way to express the word children can be really unexpected. For instance, it can be, you can say like people under 7 years old, or people under, let's say, 12 years old, something like this, or people from this age to this age, and this will mean children. Okay, it helps children to develop their musical skills. Please find it. So we need children, develop, and skills, but remember that these skills are musical skills, so it can be like playing or singing. And I can help you. These keywords, some of these keywords will be in the beginning of the text, and some of the keywords will be at the end of the text. This sometimes also happens. Yes, so it's Natalia, that's A, anyone who is aged between 6 and 14. So these are children. Yes, and to develop their musical skills, that's to improve their playing, that's to develop their musical skills. Right, so the answer is A. Let's do two more. Its performances are popular with local people. So we need the word popular and local people. Maybe performances can also be paraphrased, but don't pay attention to it because it will be used in virtually in every text. So its performances are popular with local people. I will copy this for you. Here are the texts. So this is not text A, that's why I have closed it. It's B, C, or D. Choose one. So its performances are popular with local people. Performances. Yes, they're concerts. Number B, event within a radius of 50 kilometers. You can say that it's local, but it's nothing about people, and nothing without being popular. So it's the people who are local, not the performance. And event. Okay, Rita thinks it's number C. So Rita, can you please tell us which keywords you found? So Natalia, to large and appreciative audiences. Well, actually, from the area, what's important. So appreciative means popular. If people appreciate your music, you're popular with them. Local from the area, but this is not enough because local people and people that's audiences. So that's what you need to find here. That's appreciative, audiences, and from the area. So there are 3 paraphrases here. Right? And let's do the last one. It helps people who are in financial need. I will copy this for you. Also, please try to find it. It helps people who are in financial need. Okay. Illness prevents them from earning a living. Natalia, D. That's financial need. What about helps? We need a paraphrase for help. Does it say that they help them? Okay. And support. Yes, used to support. So to support, that's to help. Absolutely. So we have done this text. Would you like to do one more exercise for synonyms? All right. Let's do it. Okay. So again, you have a word and several. So please find the best synonym for this. Write a letter and a number and a letter. Valuable and F, useful. Okay. Then try to set your level of remuneration. Remuneration, that's salary, a synonym for salary. Monitor salaries of similar positions. No. To monitor means to try to have a look and find out. Salaries and remuneration, I agree, but your level, and here it's similar positions. Number C, be willing to accept. No. What other variants? C, G, B. Negotiate a salary. Yes. So to negotiate is try to set a salary means your level of remuneration. That's so you try to negotiate a salary. Okay. Be sensitive to the culture of organization. So number 3, that's D. Be aware of the company's traditions. Right, absolutely. Look at the range of packages offered for comparables. Number 4, G. Monitor salaries offered for similar positions. That's right, absolutely. Acceptable salary ranges. Number 5A, norm for payment. Okay. To negotiate. Okay, number 6E, to arrange for. That's right. Be prepared to agree. Yes, number C, be willing to accept. Well, be prepared and be willing are not exactly synonyms, but that will be the correct answer in the real IELTS test. All right, let's have a look again to get used to. So valuable, useful, to try to set your level of remuneration, that's negotiate a salary. Be sensitive to the culture of organization. Be aware of the company's traditions. Look at the range of packages offered for comparable jobs. Monitor salaries offered for similar positions. Acceptable salary ranges, norms for payment. Negotiate, arrange for. Be prepared to agree. Be willing to accept. Right. Let's try to do one more. So to drive a vehicle. Okay, come by car. 1D, quite easy. Identify the area. Okay, number 2C, tell you where. That's right. Does not provide. Okay, that's E, is not available, right? And phone. Okay, number B, phone call. That's right. Okay, so that's to drive a vehicle. That's come by car. Identify the area. That's tell you where. Instructions. Oh, that's advice on safety. Does not provide, is not available, and phone call. These are synonyms from real IELTS tests. Right. Do you have any questions for me about the reading module? I think the hardest true, false, not given will be inspect that. We actually deal with true, false, not given in our online course, but I can give you the basic principles. So you'll also have to deal with the keywords here. You underline keywords for the sentence. Let me have a look. Just let me show you an example. So I will open a test for true, false, not given, and I will show you the basic principle. So we do this actually not at such webinars, but in our main course. So yes, here's an example, true, false, not given statement. Well, what you do is basically the same. First, that will be, well, yes, as for the next lesson, if you're talking about free webinars, they happen at different times, and I don't know exactly when they are going to happen. That will be one of the Tuesdays, one of the Thursdays at 8 o'clock p.m. Moscow time, or Sunday morning. So there are three options. When this is going to happen, I will inform everybody in the group. So for those who are interested in our complete course, it happens Saturday and Sunday, 7 p.m. Okay, so I try to inform you at least 1 day in advance. Sometimes if I know about it, I inform you 2 days in advance. Okay, so here you underline keywords too, and then you try to find matches for these keywords. And so here it says it's difficult to distinguish, and one manta ray from another. So it's 1 manta ray. So there are two ideas: difficult to distinguish one fish from another. And then you try to find paraphrases for this. If you find the matches, you find the synonyms, or the same word. Sometimes there are 3 or 4 keywords. You find the same synonym or the same word, then it's true. If you find all the synonyms but one mismatch, it means the piece of information that contradicts this sentence, then it's false. And as for not given, you find more than one mismatch. Let me show you an example. So it's difficult to distinguish one manta ray from another. And yes, one more piece of recommendation is this. You don't have to read the whole text. Somewhere in the middle of this exercise, you can find a sentence that contains a number, like a year, a name or a surname, like this. 34, you can hear it's Guy Stevens and Hanifaru. And you can find this place in the text. So just to save your time, you can find this piece of information in the text. So here is Guy Stevens, and here is Hanifaru. So you know that this will be number 34. It means that numbers 32 and 33 and 32 will be before, and numbers 35 and 36 are going to be after that. So you'll be able to save your time. You will not have to read the whole text. But anyway, we're looking at number 31. It's difficult to distinguish one manta ray from another. And that's what we need to find in the text. So here is the text. And I need to find something like that you can distinguish or you can't distinguish one manta ray from another. Ideally, I should try to do this in under 1 minute. In number A. Are you sure? No, I believe it's going to be a bit lower. Yes, there you go. You can say that they're distinctive skin patterns. This guy Stevens is photographing and cataloging them. So they have distinctive skin patterns, and this contradicts that it's difficult to distinguish them. They have very distinctive skin patterns. It means you can distinguish one from another. So it's false, and that's how we work. So as you see, I believe I managed to do it within 1 minute. But some other questions will be easier anyway. So the answer there will be false. And that's how we work. We do this in our complete course. If you wish, you can register for this. Any other questions for me?